right, it is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you're tuned into Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing. This is Chip Chat. I'm Chip. Who are you, Taz?
You just told him.
If we sound like we're a little bit frazzled, it's because we're already having a heated off-air discussion
about football.
About Tez, much like Texas, is back. Shout out to Texas knocking off Bama. I'm always happy to watch Nick Saban lose because he's always a Spartan to me. Before we get too far into it, speaking of things in Michigan, I was conflicted about I was going to wear like one of my Chevy hats tonight in support of the workers, but I realized that might also look like I was supporting the company. So I'm not going to do that. Yeah, but I want to be clear that we stand with you, UAW. Tomorrow's the deadline. It does not look very good. Yeah, a few hours. It's going to happen. I hope nobody needs a car anytime soon. And don't give in. No. I like this rolling strike idea that they've got, though. That's wicked smart. And they're like, smart move. Yeah, they're like, they never know when we're gonna hit.
Look, hey,
like, well, they're gonna know, but like, maybe just a day in advance.
We're pro-proletariat.
Yeah, workers of the world unite, especially if they're United Auto Workers.
Yes, and remember, we support all unions, but
not
police
law enforcement
is not a union.
That's not a union.
Organized crime is called a mafia.
That's right.
So there you go.
Okay.
You should have wear your O's. They're battling for the first
I
place
am
right now. Yeah,
we're in first place, but we're fighting off the Rays right now. It's a tight game. I was listening on the way up. It's 4-game series. It does matter a lot.
It's on Fox right now too.
Yeah, and then tomorrow you missed the conversation earlier, but it's Adam Jones's retirement, so he's going to come back on his 1-day contract and then retire as an Oriole. And it is not available for me to watch because it's a national game on fucking Apple. So you and your stupid little fruit have deprived me.
Hope you don't like MLS.
I don't. Don't worry.
Don't worry.
I don't care about that. I watch real football.
Hey, look.
Yeah. Okay. Also, while we're just getting housekeeping out of the way, we have the Chip Chat Derby is Sunday.
Yes.
If we don't lose, I don't even know what the bet here is. If you don't beat us 3-0 or better, you have failed.
Yeah, it has to be a dragging is what we need.
Yeah. Everton is so bad, we should be in the MLS right now.
Hat trick.
Like
Declan Rice, hat trick. We're calling it right now.
Everton would lose to the Kansas City Wiz. Are they still a team in the MLS?
They're called Sporting KC.
Okay, whatever.
I love it.
That's how bad we'd lose to the Kansas City Wiz in the 90s. That's how bad Everton is right now.
It's pretty. Yeah.
We have no offense. Like, we don't have anybody.
It's not good.
Jordy Pickford. He's going to be a busy guy.
Big frogs play.
Take it easy on us, please. We appreciate that.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, housekeeping's out of the way.
There we go.
All right, we do have a guest tonight.
Yes.
He's keeping with our 50th anniversary hip-hop celebration. We have Early Bird. Say hi.
Hello, how's everybody doing today?
So we're gonna talk to you. We're gonna play a bunch of your music throughout the show, by the way, which he foolishly lent to us through email. Also, if you do want to get his music, you should go to our favorite website, Bandcamp.
Yes.
And you should go get here. This is a tape.
Kids, that's a cassette.
Yeah, but it's not. It's a magic tape. Yeah.
Look at that.
That works in modern technology. So it's a USB tape.
Kids, that's a USB A.
Yes.
We're now to USB-C.
Yeah, welcome to the rest of the world. If you're an Apple user and you suddenly find out that everybody has a charger when we were all lying to you and saying we didn't, welcome. We've all had this for ages.
I know. You guys have latched on to your pro-business, but you've chosen Google.
In keeping with everything Apple, you are 3 years late to the party and congratulating yourselves.
I mean...
And you stole my fucking baseball game.
One thing you'll know out there, I've never been the one. I find the segregation of, the green messages.
Segregation?
It is segregation between green messages and people's feelings around that. As an Apple user, I want people to use what they're happy with. I understand open systems and, I just sometimes it feels like people are on their big moral horse when you're choosing Google over Apple.
It's neither one is good.
Same thing.
But, okay, regardless.
It's like a big, people put the morality flag up there for Sergey and friggin' Larry Page.
We
And I'm
know-
like, all right, well,
we know-
okay, cool.
No,
you know,
this wasn't a morality issue. This is just to like, we've already had this. Why are you so excited? That's not morality.
what it is there was a lot of accessories to sell with a proprietary charger.
Yours was the
and-
corporate behemoth.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I look,
yeah,
and then you
guys were the
thank
ones.
God for Europe. Europe
Yeah.
is the one who makes the changes.
Way to go, France. Okay, so anyway, we do have a packed show. We got a lot
Yes.
to talk about. There's several kinds of impeachment that we need to
All
talk
types
about,
of
several kinds of court rulings. My neighbor Ginny is up to things. We got a new story about her, not from ProPublica
Yeah,
this time.
wow,
This
look,
was
they're
Politico.
letting other people into the
Yeah, they're all
trough.
working together. Remember,
exactly.
ProPublica is a consortium.
Sorcery, exactly.
Yes. I got several wins this week. The What the Fucks won a game. That was very exciting.
That's
Everton
good.
did not play, so we couldn't lose.
Yeah.
Michigan
International break there.
did another beating down of a tomato can, which, proves that cheeseburgers don't matter. And Sparty is in huge fucking trouble. So it is.
You're excited.
It is a good week for me, sports-wise, and all that stuff. We're going to make Early Bird play Florida or not.
Oh, yes.
And
Great
that's
game.
we've got a really good Florida or not this week.
I have not read it.
That's so you can play along.
Yeah. I will
So,
try not to.
All that is to say, do you have a word?
I was thinking of a word on the way up here, and I've now. It was supposed to. God, I really wish I could remember what it was.
Okay. He's thinking.
I got it
He's
now.
stalling. Okay. All right. So I've got my word. I'm ready. Okay. So sit back, grab some.
Worms.
It's victory time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping up?
All right, so this first segment is called Good Fences Make Good Neighbors. Now, a lot of people know that I live in, let's say, a dicey neighborhood.
It's dicey. for
It's
you.
not safe where I live,
Yeah.
mostly because it is also where Clarence Thomas and his wife Ginny live.
Yes.
And that's terrifying.
Yeah.
So neighbor Ginny, she's up to some stuff.
She's always up to something.
Apparently been up to it since
Yes.
like 09, according to this timeline. Here's the deal. Politico had a story this week breaking open. I guess everybody's on this beat now, because why not? There's
Yeah.
an endless trail of information here. Breaking open the involvement of Ginny and our buddy Leo of the Federalist Society
Yes.
and their
There he
involvement. Leonard Leo, what a name.
is. He's
His
just
parents were like out of ideas. I don't know, just call him Leo.
Leo.
Yeah.
It's insane.
They're like, Lenny, come here, come on. What? I bet his dad is
Yeah.
Leo.
Obviously. Yeah,
He's Leo the fifth. I don't know. He looks like a fifth. All right. He ate the other four. So, in any case, this is the story. I'm just going to read you like the headline of this so that you can kind of get caught
Right.
up. So everybody's ready to go. The Supreme Court's decision in the 2010 Citizens United case transformed the world of politics. It loosened restrictions on campaign spending and unleashed a flow of anonymous donor money to nonprofit groups run by political activists. In the months before the ruling dropped, key point, before,
Right.
in January of that year, a group of conservative activists came together to create such an organization. Its mission would be to, at the time, block then-President Barack Obama's pet initiatives. The activists included Federalist Society, Leo, and his ideological soulmate, a hard-edge activist named Virginia Thomas, who happens to be the wife of somebody who was about to make that Citizens United decision,
Indeed.
Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. If that right there doesn't stink to high heaven, you're not paying attention.
And then you got the timeline, which is just
So here's our list time for tonight. It is this incredible timeline of events. So let's go down the list.
all right.
You can go ahead and take the first one. And when when you hear something that you hadn't already known, make a note of it. Okay?
All right.
Pay attention.
All right. September 9th, 2009, the oral arguments, which obviously preceded decision in the Supreme Court, conclude in Citizens United.
Right. November 6th of that same year, Cleta Mitchell, pin in that name, files IRS application for Ginny Thomas's new Liberty Central Inc. What is that about? Cleta Mitchell, pay attention to that name. You may have heard it fairly recently. She's been busy.
Well, you know, Jeannie just, as quoted here, really wanted to build an organization and be a movement leader.
Yes,
That's
right.
how it starts.
Well, she looks like a movement.
Oh, God. All right, let's be easy. No, she's free game.
Yeah, come on.
December 31st, 2009, Thomas signs paperwork, Jeannie Thomas, to incorporate in Virginia, listing Leo Leonard, or Leo as we've determined him, as the director. Harlan Crow, bing, donates $500,000 in seed money. Seed money. That's how
For the Crow.
For the
Of
Crow,
course,
of course.
yes,
The seed money from the Crow.
On the nose.
In the following weeks.
Yeah, by January 14th of the next year. So we're like a
Yes.
month. These are happening like at a month interval.
Right.
Thomas request to incorporate, her request to incorporate in Virginia was approved. A week later, Supreme Court hands down the Citizens United decision with Justice Clarence Thomas, her husband, objecting to one of the provisions in it about disclosure rules. He wrote that whole piece. I wonder why.
Well, he knew it was up.
Well, remember, they apparently don't talk about work at home.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, honey, where'd you get that $500,000? Oh, you know, your buddy Harlan. You mean the guy who sent us on that vacation and paid for our kids to go to the... Yeah, him. Well, he gave me $500,000. To do what? Don't worry about it. I don't want to talk work with you.
He's buying Nana's house.
Right. That is true.
That is true, though. February 18, 2010, Thomas says she's been, quote, called to the front lines, end quote, during CPAC conference. Crow holds an event in Dallas in the following weeks.
Yes. Yeah. What does she mean called to the front lines?
Because
what is with all this biblical language?
Because again, obviously this is a grift and they want to get money.
Yes.
But along with the money, obviously, is the power. And she even, like I said, a movement leader. So yeah, the movement leader has been called to the front lines. They think they're about to fight a war. Every time.
That is the part of the problem.
It is the problem.
Not?
That's the problem.
I mean, I want to lead a movement too, but a benevolent movement.
Yeah, as you say.
I want to be good.
You want to be the good dictator.
Benevolent dictator.
The benevolent dictator, which is
difference.
Just an oxymoron. It's just a high level.
You're the only person stopping me.
I am, yeah.
You and my wife.
Yeah, and I'll let you get out there.
We'll have to talk about the church off air. All right, October 1 of 2010. So they've gone a while.
Yeah.
That's like several months.
Yeah.
They went Liberty Central.
It's a full year.
It's her fake company. Yeah. Launches an ad campaign targeting the Obama agenda. It's about those tan suits. Do you want a president who wears tan suits? Well, neither do I, especially if he's tan. You know.
The other one who wore a tan suit might freeze.
Yeah. Oh, he did, but he wasn't president and never will be.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Look, turtles are slow. Sometimes it takes them a while to formulate their thoughts. Several minutes staring into the camera. You never know.
I'll eat Mitch McConnell. Like corn on the cob.
There you go.
Everybody needs a Brian.
Everybody needs a Brian.
All right. We're on to October 9th. So we've gone like a week. Thomas, and again, this is all Ginny, by the way. Every time it says Ginny. Thomas, it's Ginny. Leaves a voicemail for
Anita
Hill.
This is kind of crazy because in listening to the Joe Anderson did a slow burn on Clarence Thomas, and they talk about this, about where she just got like, you need to apologize.
She calls Anita Hill in October of 2010. This is 15 years, almost 20 years after the fact. She calls. I guess she's feeling pretty jazzed up, having got all this money and being called to the front lines. She calls Anita Hill, apparently out of the blue,
Yes.
to tell her to apologize to her husband for making him Supreme Court justice. What the fuck does she have to apologize for?
Yeah.
Anita Hill, of course, responds by mailing a sack full of pubes to Ginny Thomas for her to sprinkle on her own Coke can.
Oh, God. Yeah.
What? Could you imagine? How is that not the headline of the story? People forgot. I forgot that happened. Ginny Thomas called Anita Hill to say, you should apologize to Clarence.
Sick.
What? All right.
You change once you become a movement leader.
Oh, shit. That's a movement, all right. All right, movementing on November 15th.
She'll whoop her ass.
She will.
I mean,
that's why I tell you I don't live in a safe neighborhood. That's what I got to worry about.
Yeah.
I got to worry about Ginny Thomas starting to fight with one of the neighbors and then whooping her ass.
Yeah.
And me ending up on Channel 5 talking about I knew she was trouble when she moved in here.
That's a good. We would play that clip to start every show. I knew she was trouble when
she was trouble when she moved in here.
Oh, God.
There's certain people you don't want moving into your neighborhood.
Yeah.
You can tell by looking at them. They're not the kind of people you want in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Especially if their name is Ginny Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
Same with Leo Leonard.
I don't know where he lives.
Yeah.
He might live near me, too.
Probably.
I hope not. Shit.
Probably. November 15th, 2010. It is reported that Thomas will step away from her Liberty Central leadership role, but Leo says she made no decision on the matter. So that's just kind of some smoke and mirrors right there?
Yeah, it's when Medvedev was president for a little while.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
I forgot.
It's one of those okie dokes.
And then he was the prime minister.
Yeah,
right?
then he was the prime minister. They just sort of switched jobs for a little while. Like, what are you talking about? Like when Pat Riley was the GM and not the head coach, and then they just, all right. And then by 2011, we've skipped ahead now. So we're basically 2 years from Citizens United. Judicial Education Project, at Leo's direction, reportedly pays Ginny Thomas $100,000 for a year's worth of work. And then the Judicial Education Project, which is called JEP, it was
JEP.
Yeah, it was reinstated retroactively in paperwork back to the 2010. It's a little on. Close. No,
I don't like that one too much.
I don't like that one. Okay, so JEP reports it's received more than $50,000 in 2011, but Wellspring reports paying it $136,000. Where did the rest of the money go, Leo? Ginny.
Right. Ginny.
I know where. They built this retaining wall.
This is just in 2012 at this point.
This is right around the time that I moved into that neighborhood.
There you
go. Right. I made a mistake.
JEP begins following amicus briefs, which a friend of the court.
Correct.
In numerous cases before the court, including Obamacare, voting rights, and affirmative action. Oh, again.
And they're being funded by Harlan Crow, Leonard Leo, and Ginny Thomas, who, of course, now having business in front of the court with her organization in front of the court that her husband sits on. They don't talk about work at home. They just do it at the Supreme Court.
These are like auxiliary federalist societies.
That's exactly what this is.
That they just
well, that's why Citizens United has to be what it is, right? Because Federalist has to report based on how they're incorporated and organized under tax code.
Yeah.
But if JEP exists and does whatever they fucking want with all of the money, they don't have to say where they get the money from or what they're doing with it. They can just do it. Because money is speech and corporations are people, and Mitt Romney's retiring, thank God. That's where we are in this world. Guess what, though? Here's that name again. JEP reports receiving $1.5 million in anonymous money. That's pretty good. And then Cleta Mitchell leads, quote, the charge to stoke claims that the IRS is targeting conservative nonprofits. We've talked on this show several times about how the right wing and Fox News can make up things to be afraid of that are not happening.
Yeah.
Like late-term abortions are not happening. Paw Patrol not being canceled.
No.
All of these things, are, like the trans agenda, are not happening.
Yeah.
However, this one is a really good one because it gets all the way to Congress, and they end up passing laws to punish the IRS for this thing that did not happen. And it is because of this $1.5 million that got funneled through Ginny Thomas's pockets to Cleta Mitchell, who is currently one of the people who is indicted in Fulton County.
Yes.
That's why you should remember that name. She is one of the people who is indicted in the case of faking the electors in Georgia. She's still there.
The IRS move is insidious because you do this and then you weaken the IRS.
That's the whole
So
point.
that
That's what they've always
it's
wanted.
just like, it's like, hey,
And
you're
then they go,
targeting
why is the government broke?
Right.
So we haven't collected any money. Why haven't we collected money? We don't have enough people working the IRS. Defund the IRS.
Yes.
They're all after me. They're not after anybody. Didn't we just tell you that? Quiet. That
10-hour call time. What did it go down? It went down to like something insane.
Biden fix that shit.
Yeah,
We
insane.
need $80 billion. How about 60? Deal.
Yeah. Well, that'll
Fucking
work.
yes.
That'll work.
Yeah, all right. We'll make it work. All right, go ahead. Here, what
All
do we
right,
get
and
to
then
2012?
2012 through to 21, Jet becomes a major force in Leo's empire of nonprofits. God gracious, funded by anonymous donors. And in 2014, former Justice Thomas law clerk Carrie Severino becomes the highest paid director. Of course, that's what you'd flip a law clerk for. Justice Thomas for it. You flip into a lot of money.
You may remember the painting at Harlan Crow's house of all of the douchebags together around the fire or whatever on the porch.
It's like them dogs playing poker.
It is a little bit, except notably Leonard Leo is there wearing Tevas. What? Now, I am a fan of the Tevas. I love my Tevas.
Yeah, but
I do not wear them like where I might have my picture taken.
yeah,
like, I make a point not to wear them here. I actually put on proper shoes to come here because I know that, I'm going to get judged if I'm wearing Jesus sandals in front of everybody. So, but like that painting that is at Harlan Crow's house that we learned of from the ProPublica story has Leonard Leo sitting there smoking a cigar, wearing his polo shirt, gym shorts, and Tevas.
that's rich.
That's
wealth at a different level.
Wait, it's like just don't give a fuck comfort.
Yeah, that's when you know you have real wealth.
That's what I look like at the pool.
Yeah, he's had a picture taken.
Yeah, painted.
They're paying. So you got a
It's an
picture.
oil painting.
Let me be, yes. Be specific. That is the
Commissioned for like $500,000.
Yeah. That's a good point.
With Jesus sandals.
They rebranded as the 85 Fund.
What does that stand for?
What is that for? In 2020, it goes on to allege irregularities around the 2020 election, of course. So they just said, hey, we won all our other battles. Let's go to the newest battle.
And
that
there's
she
Cleta
contrived.
Mitchell and all of that stuff right together. I wonder if 85 is the year that Clarence did the thing to Anita.
Could be.
Or was doing the thing to Anita. I bet it is. It matches up.
Yeah.
Right?
That would be it, yeah. Because then when he goes, he's nominated in 90.
90, yeah. Because his HW was,
Bush, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
That could be.
The 85 Fund.
Get back to us on that, neighbor Jenny, when you're done bitching out Anita Hill. What the fuck, man? Of all the things that we just learned, like that Cleta Mitchell is involved in this and they've been, funding their attempted overthrow of the government since 2009.
Well, no, it's like they first started and said, no, we're just going to try to stop people. We're going to try to make it easy to funnel as much money into elections and win that way. And then when they didn't win that way, then they made their way.
Don't you think that this basically, to me, blows up this whole story that we've been telling ourselves about Citizens United? We've been talking about Citizens United as if it uncapped this vast well of money that was then going to come spewing into politics, which it did.
Right.
But that might not really be the case here. If you look at this timeline and you follow it and you see who's involved in it, it really looks like they realized that one of the barriers to them creating an autocratic, no small d democracy country was the limits on the money. And they wanted to remove that cap not because they wanted to advance quote-unquote conservative ideas, but that they had the plan of casting doubt on the validity of elections from the beginning. And if they could cast doubt on the validity of the elections, they could put somebody in power and they could do January 6th. And that, I think, is the story here.
No, but even then, during these timelines, though, I mean, if you think the guy who's retiring was the nominee, I don't think then they were still trying to say, hey, we could win an election and we can do a lot of damage that way. I think it's not until after you have.
I think that basically since Reagan, the Republicans have understood that they can't win elections by winning on their ideas. That the only way they can win is to build a fortress around the franchise and prevent people from voting. So they figured, and they're willing to take that,
weaponize the culture issue.
Yeah. And so they could take that to its logical extension, not only prevent people from voting, but make voting seem like it's not real. And if they can make voting seem like it's not real, they could literally seize power, which they tried to do through violence. Say what you think. I think that this is a smoking gun that Ginny Thomas and all of her billionaire friends, have been planning to overthrow the United States government for at least the last 20 years.
I think their plans have evolved as their party leaders.
I think that's true.
Yeah,
I think they've always had this idea of ending democracy.
I feel like before they were trying to do it with democracy.
They were trying to use the tools of democracy to end democracy.
Yes, so as even this timeline shows, where they flip it over to being like, all right, now we're gonna focus on like the stolen election. There was no stolen elections that they were talking about.
They hadn't needed to do that yet.
Yeah, they didn't even think the black man stole the election.
Right. They had that in their back pocket though, and they did. They said he was a secret Muslim and he didn't really belong here. He was from fucking Kenya or whatever.
Yeah, that is a good point.
You know how Honolulu, the capital of Kenya.
It is, obviously.
Jesus, tap dancing Christ.
How you gonna steal Hawaii and be mad?
Right?
Fucking comes.
Should be so proud.
That's so crazy.
Should be so proud of
an island you
your
stole.
former colony, making good on itself.
Crazy,
right?
It's insane. It's insane. They took the island, stole the shit.
Wait till a person with Native American descent becomes president.
Finally.
Wait until the eruption that's going to cause.
Oh, finally. Please.
Go back to your country.
Exactly.
Maryland?
Right, exactly. Oh, my God. Hey.
Oh, Lord. All right.
It's a National Day of Gardening and people lose their fucking minds. Yo, we just want you to go outside and, try to help the earth. People are going to off themselves so they have to go plant something. God, we need that more than ever.
Well, we're close. We've got a cabinet secretary.
That is true.
We're making progress.
That is just more. That's more than,
And if you want to take it, really, if you want to stretch it like basically any of the Latino population has any electoral success, we can claim Native success there too because they are.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot to think about all at once. Tell you what, to avoid thinking about it, we're going to play a song from our guest and take a break.
Yeah. Probably
all
need to do that.
And when we come back, we'll have some special rundown stuff. It's going to be spicy. You're going to like it.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know if you read this one, but it gets pretty spicy.
I've been listening to a little bit about this.
It's almost DJ B.Y.'s spicy. So that's like the level of spiciness that we're about to hit here. Yeah, so we'll find out. All right, we're going to take a break. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
Then all of a sudden I became that parent. You sit there and watch this person slipping away from you and you feel so helpless. You don't get interested in mental health because it's not like the ski club, You only get involved because you get dragged into it. This is not a calling I ever wanted. And then once you get into it, I can't believe you don't feel a responsibility to do something about it. Lives are being lost.
I've been in the back of a squad car, handcuffs digging in my wrist not far from feeling suicidal. My life up and down like a seesaw. Late at night, I ask God for a response, but it's like a dropped call or one placed on hold. My heart pumps cold, blood bold, so much turmoil. I wanna curl up into a ball like fuck the world and write it all off. Then I zone out. Alcohol numbs my spirit, tired as a weary soul. Hoping that water is what my theories hold. I need miracles, not the closed ears of conspiracies. I'm looking in the mirrors beyond appearances, and this is what I see. Mental hospital, looking at the judge like drop the sentence. Parents crying, asking for his forgiveness. Face the verdict now, I've been convicted. I've been in the back of a paddy wagon, dragged out of my home, kicking and screaming by policemen taken against my will. Been fragile, doctors prescribed pills. Been in the mental hospital, talking to other patients about life issues. Met schizophrenics in drug clinics, abusers who misuse suicide girls. I fight demons, trying to stay out of trouble. 9 to 5 stressful, but that's survival, a piece of the puzzle. They tell me I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's taken out of context. We're all complex, strange days lately, I confess. I can't maintain or communicate the pain that I try to explain. Nobody understands, so I talk to the planet. My theories are abstract. Watching TV and I start hearing voices, America, telling me it's all about the money, but it sounds funny, cause I know I got choices. I've been in the mental hospital. I've been in the mental hospital. I've been in the mental hospital. And if I'm crazy, that's how the world made me. I've been in the mental hospital. I've been in the mental hospital. Been in the mental hospital. And if I'm crazy, that's how the world made me. And if I'm crazy, that's how the world made me. And if I'm crazy, that's how the world made me. And if I'm crazy, that's how the world made me. And if I'm crazy, that's how the world made me.
ChipChat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's poppin', yeah?
That was a song from our guest, Early Bird. Who was? Well, that was you. But what is that song?
That song was from a documentary that I'm actually wearing the shirt today. It's a documentary that was produced by Ken Burns. It was on PBS. The name of the documentary is Hiding in Plain Sight. It's about youth mental illness, and my story was featured in the documentary, and 3 songs that I made are featured in the documentary, including there's 2 episodes. To the end of each episode are 2 songs that I was commissioned to make in production with the documentary. So we had a live band. We went up to Brooklyn, New York, and the lyrics are from a song I wrote in 2007. And it's about my experience in the criminal justice system and living with serious mental illness. And if you want to watch the documentary, I believe it's on Prime Video. Just search Hiding in Plain Sight Youth Mental Illness on Google. You should be able to find it.
Very cool.
It is.
See, we get real guests on this
we
show.
do every time. Somehow. We got 5 listeners today.
I know how. You don't know
I don't know how. You know, I need to do more work.
Yes. All right. Speaking of work, now we have come to the part of the show called The Rundown. This is where I tell you about some stuff that's gone on in the news. If we were professionals, it would sound like this.
From Beltway Radio and beyond in Washington, D.C., I'm J. Scott Smith. And this is the part of the hour where I tell you some stuff that's going on in the news.
Sucks to you, Tez. It worked
Damn,
this time.
It works. I hate when it works.
This is a special impeachment edition.
Especially, yeah, we've had many impeachments.
Well,
there's been many impeachments.
We said there's going to be a lot of flavors of impeachment.
Yes.
You know, and so now
first flavor.
The first flavor is Texas.
Yeah.
So Texas is a flavor now. The prosecution has rested their case as of are going on air tonight,
Right.
as far as I know. So this is regarding, of course, suspended Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who is on trial for 6,000 counts of bribery and stealing all the money and
then asking for them to
asking for the Texas State House to pay for all of the money and all of this stuff. But that's not the thing that we learned about yesterday or today, which is the more salacious aspect of this whole thing, which of course is what deeply offends those upright conservative representatives there in Texas. Quote.
Such a good quote.
One of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's former staffers testified Monday that the Republicans' extramarital affair took a toll on employees who had to work long and odd hours because of the secret relationship that is now a factor in his impeachment trial. I told General Paxton quite bluntly it wasn't my business who he was sleeping with, but when things bleed over into the office and into state work, it becomes my business, said Catherine Carey, the former chief of staff of his office. The affair is part of an abuse of power and bribery charges that Texas House Republicans have made against Paxton after years of alleged scandal and corruption. If convicted, he's going to be in trouble. His wife, Angela, who is a senator, is barred from the proceedings, but she sat at her desk in the chamber floor while Carey testified and described how she had warned Ken Paxton that his affair carried legal and political risks, in front of his wife. And she was cool with it, I guess.
She shows up in cheerleads every week.
Yeah, Paxton had an affair with a woman who worked for local developer Nate Paul, whose relationship with one of Texas' most powerful figures is central to the impeachment trial. Through 5 days of testimony, 5 of Paxton's former aides have testified how Paxton allegedly pressured them in various ways to help Nate Paul, who is under FBI investigation and once gave Paxton a $25,000 contribution. It gets worse.
Continue.
This is like the background information about the thing that you need to know just so you can get this more crazy thing. Tony Busby, Paxton's attorney, offered an excellent defense, challenging Carey on cross-examination about the importance of the affair and the importance it should have on an impeachment trial. Do you want to get that quote?
Oh, this was the good
Yeah.
part where
Imagine
if we impeached everyone in Austin who had an affair, Busby said. We'd be impeaching people for the next 100 years.
Those party of family values.
Yeah.
Shoo. Paxton is not pleading guilty, of course. He thinks he's going to beat this. Carey was the first witness in the trial who was not one of 8 former Paxton aides who reported him to the FBI in 2020. So all the other ones who testified had already reported him to the FBI for all of the crimes. Republican Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who famously said to kill all the old people to get us out of COVID, is presiding over the trial. It said that the trial will resume Monday, that the case was on track to go to the jury as soon as later in the week. Patrick also said that there will be no more days off until this thing is resolved. But wait, there is more. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton coordinated through encrypted communications with a lawyer that he hired to investigate law enforcement officials, back to blue, probing one of the Republicans' wealthy donors. The lawyer testified at the impeachment trial. The testimony from Brandon Kamak on the 6th day of the proceedings said that Paxton abused his office to help a local real estate developer resisting FBI investigation by hiring an outside attorney to look into the agents, to investigate the FBI agents, a judge, and other officials involved in the probe. Kamak told the jury of state senators who will decide the fate of Ken Paxton that he consulted with the attorney general on how to proceed. He also said that he kept Paxton apprised as he obtained a series of grand jury subpoenas with the guidance from the developer's lawyer. I did everything under his supervision.
Oh, there's that.
That is a smoking gun if I've ever heard it. It goes on to say that he basically says, this guy told me to investigate all these people, and I did it.
Yeah.
And here's all the text messages to show it. It didn't get better, though. There's even more. A woman who Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's staff said he carried on an extramarital affair with is expected to testify on Wednesday. That was yesterday. She did, in fact. A bipartisan group of lawmakers prosecuting Paxton's impeachment called the woman, Laura Olson, on Wednesday morning, but Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who was acting as the judge in the trial, said that she cannot testify until the afternoon because they had too much going on. Yeah, it's okay. She did testify. She said that, they were doing it. We have a graphic. I don't know if Brian can put it up, of an insane, love.
That's like love, quid pro,
I don't know.
Quo,
Hexagon,
trapezoid.
So I want you to look. In the middle is Olson, right? What's her name? Lauren Olson?
Yep.
Okay. If I was going to commit massive fraud and bribery and cheat on my wife, I'd probably shoot a little higher than a 4, but hey, whatever you're into, man.
Whoa.
That's what you're going for. Well, I mean, look at him. He's kind of old. He's probably not getting along.
What the fuck, y'all?
So notice there that below Ken Paxton, who's in the middle with all of the arrows, is his wife, who by the blue arrows is either dating / married to.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that that's the same color chosen for the other arrows.
It's going both ways.
Yep. And then there's also, she's a juror in the trial. Look at that. Yeah. There's another juror in the trial who's Senator Donna Campbell, who is also somehow connected to Laura Olson because she's her boss.
Oh.
Yeah, no problem there. This is all going great. You know who else is her boss? Nate Paul, the guy who was bribing Ken Paxton, that you see with the red arrow. And then there's also the fact that Laura Olson is married to this other guy who, not super relevant. But look down in the right-hand corner of this.
Yeah.
What is that weird pink arrow going to?
That's Monica Lewinsky.
It is, and not a great picture of her, because that's the one from the 90s that they used to slander her all the time.
That is the same
but what does it say that pink arrow signifies?
Following on Twitter, is that what it is?
The relevant information you might want to know.
Hey.
That Laura Olson follows Monica on Twitter.
I mean, it's fitting for this case.
Is it? I mean...
Kind of.
Is it stupidly irrelevant, or is it very damning?
Well, we'll see. We'll see if it's brought to the floor.
Oh, no, it was brought to the floor.
It was?
Yeah, all of this was brought up. Like, that graphic was basically the testimony.
They brought up the following.
They brought up everything. Okay. It's Texas.
It is Texas.
They're just doing Texas, but in full view of everybody because it's on film and TV or whatever. Yeah, digital film. I don't know what the kids are using these days.
The Access Channel, Austin Access.
Yeah, it's on public.
Yeah, exactly.
People have public access anymore?
I think so. I don't know.
So what? Now it's going to be time for the defense next week on Monday, I guess. Yeah. I don't know what they're going to offer as a defense.
We'd be, what's the name? If it was about affairs, again, you know who we'd be.
I mean, we'd be here for 100 years. Everybody's doing this. It's fine because you're all doing. I really want to see them call out all of the other extramarital affairs. That
guys, a lineup of.
Yeah. It'd be like, we'd like to call as our first witness Senator so-and-so's girlfriend, Representative so-and-so's girlfriend, and be like, all right, guys, since you brought it up, you made my girlfriend come out here.
You want the, what's the name? You want the whole chamber to fail?
Yeah, basically, that'd be great.
Stop. Yeah,
I mean, the only thing that could make lives better for the people of Texas is if we stop Texas from Texasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can stop Texas from Texasing.
Everybody goes to Texas.
They're all going to be safe.
Yes.
Well, yeah. You want to own slaves? Go to Texas.
Yeah.
You want to put buzzsaws in the Rio Grande?
Go to
Texas.
Yeah.
You want to whip some Haitians from a horse? Texas. They got everything.
Everything you want.
Also barbecue.
Barbecue,
but it's not real barbecue. I mean, it's like smoked sausage. I give it, that's fine. Beef ribs, they're good, but they're not ribs. If you have to put a word in front of ribs, they're not ribs. I'm not anti-beef ribs.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Beef
ribs is delicious.
No, they are delicious. Yeah. I'm just saying that, when you say, I'll have the ribs, you're not expecting that.
People believe in different stories. And,
Yeah, nobody in Texas believes in those stories.
I know.
That's just what they had walking around.
Yeah,
they got all these
exact
cows
cows
walking around.
everywhere.
And they're like, well, we wish we had some delicious piggies walking around. And like, well, we ain't got that. So I guess we're just going to have to try to barbecue this big old thing. Cut it down, Tex.
They're big rib.
Yeah. We can't dig a pit big enough to put this in. What are we going to do? You know? So, cook it outside. If it was barbecue, it wouldn't have to have the word Texas in front of it. Nobody in Carolina goes, yeah, we're going to have some Carolina barbecue. They just say, would you like some barbecue? And the coleslaw is implied. Like that is how barbecue works. The rest of the country is wrong. Soapbox moment.
Get gone to Texas.
That's right, Davey. You all can go to hell. I'm going to Texas, I believe is the quote.
That is the quote.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to our guest.
Yes.
But we're going to play one more of his songs before we do that because it's going to be cool and we're going to learn things.
The best part of the show starts now.
Yeah, it's about to be good.
Finally.
You're listening to ChipChat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Don't leave me hanging. I'm still waiting. Give me patience. I'm still waiting. I've been abandoned. Don't leave me hanging. The world keeps changing. So give me patience.
I wait for my opponent to tape the bait, studying the chessboard like a book vertically. I move my rook straight, then I concentrate about 8 moves away from announcing checkmate. Big fish on the hook and he just got 8. He didn't get to slide straight into home base or hear the umpire proclaim safe. Instead I tagged him with the ball before he could reach the plate. Now I'm looking at the rival crowd as they hate. Okay, I'm patient with the way I play the game. When I'm at bat, I prove to the doubters that I'm great. Make a move to counteract whenever competition hesitates. I'm patient while quick-tempered fools display folly. The flag it waved even as cannonballs were volleyed. Discord, a patient man always allays. So I'm patient with my words when I'm writing a phrase.
Don't leave me hanging. I'm still waiting. Give me patience. I'm still waiting. I've been abandoned. Don't leave me hanging. The world keeps changing. So give me patience. Don't leave me hanging. I'm still waiting. Give me patience. I'm still waiting. I'm only human. Don't leave me hanging. The world keeps changing. So give me patience.
I wait without objection or complaint when the ultrasound machine shows you the heartbeat. Now we're counting fingers on hands and toes on feet. 9 months to the date, the mission is complete. Take a breath, you have earned your rest. Take a seat, take a cigar to smoke. We escaped the wake of defeat. A newborn was born, humble and meek, without a care, and the world dependent on us to eat. God is great, and even when we're swimming upstream, we get headaches and woes, calluses on our feet. Still we wait, not satisfied with incremental change. We protest the ballot box and we rally in the street. Demonstrate to make the life of a child more tolerable. Got a lot of work to do, we're worth more than the dollar bills. The stakes are higher than a volcano with lava flowing. What's the going rate on the promise of a starving artist?
I'm only human. Don't leave me hanging. The world keeps changing, so give me patience.
I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's poppin' up?
That was a track from our guest, Early Bird.
Yes.
Early Bird is an artist and MC based in Northern Virginia in the D.C. area, where he makes music and speaks about important issues like race, privilege, and mental health. A social worker and artist by training, he brings his level of expertise and empathy to his music in ways that seek to connect with the listeners in a deeper way. And now he joins us here. Early Bird, welcome to Chip Chat.
Thank you. I'm gonna need a copy of that press there. That's a nice little write-up.
Yeah, thanks. I stole it from your bio.
Not all of it.
I lifted key phrases.
Okay.
Let's just say.
Chat GPT.
I did not. You know, it's funny you mentioned that.
No, I saw the text.
Because somebody accused me of using that.
They did?
Yeah, I wrote a recommendation about an interview candidate that we had at my actual job.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's really good. I think we should hire him. And I told my coworkers, I was like, I'm going to use my NPR voice when I write this, and we'll get him hired. Yeah. And I wrote this thing, and they read it, and they're like, did you use ChatGPT? I was like,
damn, we're already there.
No, I know I don't talk like that, but
Is that a compliment, I guess?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, I do listen to public radio 27 hours a day, so like I can write like that. You know, I do think like that. I just don't always talk like that.
Okay.
And so they were like, "Did you cheat?" And I was like, "No, I'm actually smarter than I look." Sorry, you're mad at me. ChatGPT Tez over here.
Yeah, there it is. Even I don't use that. I've never used it.
But that's your Twitter handle.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Okay. Anyway, back on track. Early Bird, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
That last song, that was Patience.
Yes.
What's the deal with that song?
It's from an album I did, which was a concept album, and the concept had to do with the book Dante's Inferno. So it's 17 tracks, 3 of them being interludes, which feature Big Rube from the Dungeon Family, and he sort of plays a narrator. And the other 14 tracks, 7 of them have DJ Rags, 7 of them have Maria, who sung the hook on that song. And the 7 songs with DJ Rags are Dante Going Through Hell. I play Dante. DJ Rags plays, I'm blanking on his name right now, but the guide of Dante. I should know this, but I'm blanking on it. And then...
Is it Cicero? Maybe?
No, if I heard it, I'd remember it, but I made that album a couple of years ago. I'm blanking on it. And then Maria plays Beatrice, who is the guide when Dante goes to purgatory, and... they don't call it heaven. They call it, I'm blanking on it, but there's another word they use.
When he climbs the other way.
Yeah, when he climbs the other way. So I have 7 Deadly Sins, or the 7 songs with DJ Rags, and then 7 Heavenly Virtues are the songs with Maria, and Maria plays Beatrice, who was Dante's, like, unrequited love, basically, in the book. And so it takes you for a journey through hell, through purgatory, through heaven, and patience is one of the 7 heavenly virtues in the book that I use for the album.
There you go. See? Much smarter than
Very thought out.
Yeah. So I did look into a little bit of your history. It says here that you've been writing rap since you were 7.
Yes.
Do you remember any of your early, stuff?
God.
I don't remember any of the actual lyrics, but I do remember my first rap had to do about Coke versus Pepsi.
That's good.
Important.
It's an important topic.
Important topic.
Cola Wars, baby.
And I was like, Coke is better than Pepsi. It was like a diss song.
I was going to say,
Pepsi.
which way did
I'm
you
on
come
the
down?
Coke side,
Yeah.
so I had to diss Pepsi,
Is there anybody who chooses Pepsi?
I don't know.
In this area, some people choose Pepsi.
It's like in North Carolina, that's where the divide line is.
I think probably right.
Because that's where Pepsi comes from, North Carolina.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a Coke, not Pepsi. I'm not a cola person, but like,
if I was to choose,
I have to choose Coke.
Yeah. And I want the Mexican Coke too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Much
That's
better.
the one as well.
Passover Coke.
Passover Coke is what you call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Passover Coke. Because for a long time, the rule was we couldn't have corn syrup.
Yeah.
Right.
So during Passover, Coke would make Coke with real sugar, and it has a yellow cap.
Oh, God.
So if you ever see,
in that, I did not know that.
if you ever see the Coke in the 2 liters with the yellow cap, buy as much of
I've
it as you
seen it, but I
can.
didn't know that.
Did not know that. Did they have cane sugar in that?
Yeah, it's real sugar.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
so to make it kosher
I
for
thought the
Passover,
Mexicans
they
was
would,
the only ones that did that. But
yeah. So that's how you can get it here. You don't have to pay for that weird glass bottle.
that was delicious anyways.
Yeah, that makes it
7
better.
ounces.
though.
It makes it a lot
It's only
better.
7 ounces.
It is, but it's
It's
delicious.
delicious.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So Cola Wars aside, I've been listening to your music all week. The beats on your stuff, they are fantastic. Are you making those? Are you working with some folks to produce them? And where are you making those?
On the tape I gave you, I probably did about 95% of the beats on
Wow.
that. So I do work with other producers, but I primarily do my own beats. So
Is there anybody else that you want to shout out for helping you with some of your other projects and
I
stuff?
just did a remix album with Chrome. I don't know if you've heard of Chrome. He did some work with Impulse, who's been up here.
Sure.
But he remixed one of my newer albums, and it's been getting some traction online. So I really appreciate getting some views because he has a bigger following than I do. So shout out Chrome. He did a great job remixing. I think he did 12 of my songs on a remix project.
So you basically wrote every aspect of this record.
Yes. Yes.
You produced
all
it.
the thing Maria was singing, I wrote all the lyrics.
All of that.
It's funny. I send her like a draft of what the song's supposed to sound like, and I cannot sing to save my life. If I could sing, I probably wouldn't be a rapper.
Right.
But I can't sing to save my life, so I send her these horrible, like, auto-tuned versions of me. Imagine me singing that last song you heard.
It's a reference track.
Yeah, and she weaves
demo.
them into gold. She just takes them, transforms them, makes them sound great.
She's a magician.
So, yes.
Do you find, like, what's the creative process look like for, like, creating and making the beats and then, like, along with the rhymes? Like, do you find, like, is it, like, fluid to the point where, like, sometimes you're, like, the beat is done first or the rhyme? Or is it a combination of both? How does
It's
that go?
usually the beat done first.
Okay.
'Cause otherwise, you might not have the right syllables or the right flow or the right cadence. So I usually try to make the beat first. But I have had instances where I've been in, like, shopping and I'll get a lyric and I'll write it down when I get home and then I'll have to craft it to fit a beat or something. So, but it's usually the beat done first.
Got it.
You ask this a lot.
Yeah, you know, I think people are interested usually in, like, you know, what the
I still don't
process
think
is.
there's a right answer though.
Oh no, there's definitely not a right answer. It's just I'm always interested in, like,
Yeah.
the guest and
I don't think we should probably go back and count up how many people get the music first and the lyrics second, or the music or the lyrics.
And don't
first
both
and the
at the
music
same
second.
time.
Right, there it is. Right.
Well,
Right.
I mean, sometimes that is what. I mean, especially with people who are playing instruments, you know, and writing songs out of a jam session.
Yeah, right.
It's often happening kind of at the same time. But like, I want to go back and count. I'm gonna go try to go back and count and see how many people are music first, lyrics second, or lyrics first, music second.
And then just to, I might as well, since we're down this train, I follow my other question I always ask. Where do you find you create the best? Like, and I guess this is more around probably the rhymes, because I would assume the beats are usually made in this, like, the
In
same
your lab.
location. Right, yeah, in the same location. But, like, for the rhymes, is there, like, a place, like, the park bench? Is it in your, like, a room in your house? Is there a place where you sit down, you're like, nah, this gets the best out of me?
It can come anywhere, really.
Okay.
Sometimes when you're driving the car, you'll think thoughts and you'll have to remember them. So I'm normally doing majority of my writing at home, but I've been doing this for so long that it doesn't take me. I don't have a long process. It doesn't take me like weeks and weeks to make a song. I can knock out a song relatively quick.
Got it.
So do you just carry a notebook around with you, or do you just like type it in your phone, or what do you do when inspiration
I still
hits?
do handwritten. I don't do that much on my phone. So, but usually the things that come to me when I'm driving are like choruses or like refrains will come to me. And then the actual like 16 bars, I'll sit down and write that. I like to have concepts to a lot of my songs, so I'll write them when I have the beat fleshed out. And if I'm doing a concept album, the lyrics will have to do with what the concept album's about.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. Speaking of, what your lyrics deal with, your music deals a lot with a lot of issues that you kind of don't hear a lot about in hip hop, including mental illness and mental health, gender issues. How is your sort of more, I don't want to call it challenging, that's not really the right word, but like things that are not in the mainstream of the way hip hop is often consumed in a mainstream way. If that's a very broad way of putting it, but like, how have your songs about gender, sexuality, mental health, all of these things that are a bit taboo in hip hop, how have those been received compared to some of your other music?
I always have a lot of people who come up to me and they say this phrase. I don't like this phrase, but they say it to me. They say, I usually don't like hip hop, but I like your hip hop. And to me, that sounds like dismissive, borderline racist kind of.
It sounds, yeah.
Yeah.
But I do have people who don't even listen to hip hop, so they aren't tuned into what it's supposed to be,
right,
or what it isn't supposed to be, and it resonates with them. So I know I had to do I had my own conditioning growing up, being a hip hop head. My own thoughts on these issues. I had to kind of figure out what I believed in and divorce them from what I thought I was supposed to behave or whatever, as far as masculinity or gender or race or any of that stuff. Because growing up, hip hop can be misogynistic, can be homophobic, but hip hop is a interactive thing. So if you see it going one way, you can, like right now, there's a lot of women rappers who are coming up and doing their own thing. And I think that's great. I think they're killing the game right now. And so if you see an aspect of hip hop that isn't represented, pick up a mic, learn how to write, make your own songs. That's
you can steer it your own way. You can steer
it, yeah. If you don't like the way if you're complaining about the way hip hop is, then make a song. It's not rockets or science or anything,
That's a really good point.
If you feel underrepresented in any form, it's not just in hip hop, but sort of in general. Like, I'm not saying this is your only option, but one of your options is to get out there and represent.
Yeah.
And one of the things that hip hop lends itself to in ways that maybe other art forms don't is that it is often about self-promotion.
Yes.
And talking and the brashness of it. And
braggadocio.
And so like if there is a thing that you don't feel you're hearing enough of, you could be that.
Exactly.
And you can grab it and talk about it. So when you're talking about, like, I mean, you mentioned the documentary and struggles with mental health. Full disclosure, I've had a lot of struggles with mental health. Okay. You have actual training in it, right? You're like a degree in social work.
In social work from VCU.
Yeah, so you understand this probably better than almost anybody, and I am just a person dealing with it or whatever.
Well, and I have the lived experience too.
Yeah, so. Right. You have both the lived experience and the actual technical knowledge of it.
Yeah.
I have the lived experience and an intentional avoidance of the technical knowledge of it. So that's why God made beer. So what's
self-medication?
Yeah, he's not wrong. But I've been listening to some of your songs that very heavily focus on those kind of issues, and they are resonating with me very well. Right, I'm hearing something that I don't hear a lot, but I do feel that the mainstream culture is shifting to talk more about mental health.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since when I was going through my worst battles with it.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. So, like, have you seen over time a shift in the conversation to where you might have been an extreme outlier talking about mental health in music to now maybe you're, some other people catching up to you?
Well, the first song that you played, Live Life, I actually wrote those lyrics in like 2006, 2007. So that's an old song.
Yeah.
But we re-recorded it for the documentary, and I used I gave them a tape with like a bunch of albums, and they picked those particular songs, and we re-recorded them. But when I was first diagnosed as being bipolar, I didn't know anything about mental illness. There weren't any famous celebrities with mental illness. We didn't have I'm not saying this that it's bad that we have them now. I think it's great that we have them now, but we have people like gymnasts, blanking on her name.
Simone Biles.
Simone Biles didn't compete in the Olympics. Got a lot of pushback for that.
Right.
We got Naomi Osaka, who had some mental health issues, and these people bravely speaking out about it. And I think the newer generation is more open to talking about it. I also think a bad part is sometimes I was talking to a friend about this the other day. Sometimes people talk about mental health a little too much, where they're coding behavior in like therapy terms, and it's not necessarily the best behavior. Like the example I used when Jonah Hill was being controlling of his girlfriend, and he was using like therapy talk to kind of justify his behavior.
Yeah.
So, but we are seeing this therapy talk enter the mainstream, and I think that we do have instances like Jonah Hill that you want to steer away from, but I think it's good that more people are talking about going to therapy and normalizing it, and hopefully being able to avoid paths that I've been down in my life when I wasn't getting treatment.
Yeah, I mean, we've had folks on the show who are advocates for mental health and seeking treatment and all of that. I mean, I've had a therapist for 20 years.
Okay.
You know, my guy retired, which was really shitty of him. He earned it. He's allowed to. I've got a new therapist now. I love her. She's great. But, you know, like, I'm at the point where I kind of look at people who don't have a therapist and I'm like, what's wrong with you? You know, like, why don't you have a therapist? And I think that, you know, being a kid in the 80s and 90s and dealing with the issues and the level of understanding of it back then and the level of medication.
There was no understanding back
There was
then.
no understanding.
Yeah,
they
I
were
was gonna
basically
say,
guessing at it. And they, you know, they had like
Medication was real heavy. You go back to the
it was-
50s, people getting lobotomized. So.
yes, and
Right.
and it wasn't much better by the 90s. I will tell you that, like, you know, it was very blunt instrument, heavy duty shit, and it was like, we don't know what's wrong with him, we'll give him some Prozac, or, you know, we don't know what's wrong with him, we'll give him some Ritalin or any, you know, these things were basically just to keep you from being wild and dangerous, I guess. I don't know, but like, we're now, if you're our age and you went through that, you're kind of like a little wary of the whole mental health establishment, because in my experience, it totally fucked me up.
Okay.
You know, and I'm like, I don't really trust this thing anymore, and that is not the current deal anymore. Not even close, right? It's much more science based, much more evidence based. Yeah, person centered, right?
Yeah.
So I was listening to one of your songs that this isn't in the list of questions, but the song about guys and gals and non-binary pals.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think is
The
a great
change.
rhyme, by the way.
I actually got that from my friend who's I met during the documentary. He was in the documentary. My friend Billy. Shout out to Billy. But we were on a text thread, and she said that, and I was like, I'm putting that in a rhyme.
It's a dynamite lyric. I think
really
that's
good.
a really good lyric. I was thinking about just the way that you were, you know, approaching that song and thinking that, like, 15 years ago, maybe even 5-6 years ago, nobody could write a lyric like that and release it and expect anybody to accept it. They would have been called all kinds of names and just dismissed out of hand. Is there... I don't want to call it brave, because that's a little dismissive too, but is there something about, like, do you feel that the modern way that music is released, without the barrier of the A&R, without the barrier of the record company, is it giving you freedom to approach topics and release them in ways that people can hear it that you probably wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to 10 years ago?
Well, I think even if you do get a record deal nowadays, I think they steer you in a certain direction. So if they think it'll pop, they'll steer you in that direction. So, for instance, I got an album coming out next March. It's all about history. It's called History Rhymes. And I start with the invention of fire and language, and I work my way up to the Sixth Extinction event. But there's nothing marketable about that, really, unless you like hip-hop and you like rhymes and you like beats.
Well,
It's
we like
marketable.
it. Can you, when it comes out, can we premiere
It's
it on our
it's
show?
on the tape. It's on the tape.
Yeah, but the whole album, is it? You said
the whole album's on there.
Oh, this because this has everything on it.
It has
yeah,
it's like everything I've done on
I'm
there.
cheating. I'm trying to
But
tell everybody they can do that already. But it drops in March, you said.
It drops on streaming services in March. It's on the tape. That's
when
a
it
preview.
comes out on streaming,
Okay.
will you let us premiere
sure.
it first here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But what I'm
Not
saying
everybody has this, by the way. I got this from him at a show, so just
shameless.
if you're critical of, how do I put this? Like, if you're not in line with whatever the mainstream agenda may be, like if you're critical of like capitalism or the U.S. or I don't know, whatever your thoughts are on like big issues, it's hard to market you to sell like soda pop and soft drinks and stuff, you know.
We know because we have not gotten an endorsement deal from Coca-Cola.
Even though we've been making these Pepsi diss
we've
rhymes,
been trying. We're out here proclaiming the virtues of Coca-Cola while slamming the problems of capitalism.
Been doing it since I was 7, you know.
Yeah, right.
That's why Coca-Cola's not calling. Exactly.
And this argument today, like there's such a thing as Keynesian socialism. Like there's no reason you can't make money and also doing the right thing by people. Like it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, go on.
Well, anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about, but
yeah, you do.
The mainstream, they're not going to put money behind you unless they can see a return on their investment. And they don't know what's going to pop. They don't know what's going to go viral, what's going to have long sustaining chart success. So I think it's great for artists because you can go directly to the consumer. You can go directly to people and say, hey, I make music. I mean, the downside is everybody can make music, which I think is a great thing. People always like, oh, everyone makes music nowadays. I think it's great. I wish Andy Warhol said everyone has 15 minutes of fame. I think everybody should have one mixtape in their life.
Yes.
Like, I want to go in the bodega, and the guy behind the bodega like, oh, I got a mixtape. I'm like, cool, I want to check it out. Like, I want to hear what my neighbor 16 bars are. I want to hear, I think if everyone has a mixtape, that's like, I mean, that's hell to a lot of people, but I love it. And a quick aside, anytime I go to a rap show, like the one we met at, I swear, like half the people in the crowd are rappers.
That's how it should be, though. Like, I'm the only one who was there who didn't have a record, by the way. And I was there, like, I was grabbing everything. I bought, like 20 albums at that show.
I love it.
Yeah, and I was having a great time.
It was a great, there were like 20 people at the show, but they rocked it. You know?
I was having so much fun, like, absorbing all of this stuff.
It was all people who knew, like, every word of the performer, you know?
Yeah, and I'm a fan. I'm not a rapper. I'm never going to be that. I just can't be.
Not with that mentality.
No.
That's a good point.
Not at all. That's not my instrument. I've got mine, and I can you know, play the harmonica. But, like, I'm just... But I am a consumer. You know, I'm a fan. I just listen. I just love to pay attention to the intricacies of it. So I think you're right. Like, but that's a very punk attitude too. Like, you know, if you used to go to the punk shows back in the day, oh my God, I'd walk into Nations and I'd walk out with 5 tapes. Like it was a whole thing, you know, and that is how it should be. I think it should be that.
There shouldn't be this like hierarchy where there's like a Jay-Z or a Nas at the top and everyone trying to emulate them and be them, and it trickles down, and every once in a while, somebody from the underground gets elevated to like a mid-tier status or something. Like, I don't know.
You might pick up a record that kind of sucks, but it might have 1 or 2 good lines on it, and that might be worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I love Jay-Z. I love Nas, but not everybody can reach that level of like commercial success, and I don't know.
I got this guy's record one time, and now he's on this show.
That's what's
true.
up.
There it is.
How that happens.
Yes,
that's literally how that happens.
That is how that happened. Yeah, which is crazy as hell.
But I think the old way of doing music and doing records and record companies, I think it's dead, and it's just all about artists finding their own ways to connect with people and finding their own ways to make their own. I won't say the word content. I don't like that word, but make their own music.
So speaking of music, what I have been listening to all week and really kind of immersing myself in it is you have a lot of different styles.
Okay.
Like, you know, like you rhythmically and lyrically get a lot of different styles across songs, right? You know, from one song to the next, not the same thing.
Okay.
Right? And so like I can tell by your voice I'm listening to an early bird record, but I'm not going to necessarily know by the cadence or delivery or type of song that I'm listening to that it's your song.
Okay.
Right? So it seems that you have a wide variety. Would you say that you choose the style of rhyming to match the mood of the song, or do the lyrics sort of dictate the way that you make it rhyme?
I'd say both.
That's a good answer, I guess.
Yeah, both. Because sometimes the way words sound, just when they're spoken, dictates the way the flow is going to go. And sometimes the way the beat sounds, you want to catch a rhythm of like a hi-hat or the way the bass line's moving or something.
I always think of it in a very physical way of the way that sounds lean on each other.
Okay.
And leaning a rhyme,
like your voice is an instrument.
Yeah, and you can lean on certain vowel sounds or certain consonant sounds to make things rhyme that don't rhyme.
Yeah.
And then you can also do that with patterns.
Yeah.
And so I picked that up on some of your stuff, that like some of these things that the pattern seems to fit the mood of what you're talking about.
Thank you.
And I think that I was just wondering how you got to that, because that's kind of an interesting thing.
It's really just the reason there's variety is I've been doing this for like 20 years. I don't want to get bored making the same song over. So I got to find a new way to make a new song that not only is. I'm probably the person who listens to my stuff the most. And I want to be able to entertain myself with what I'm coming.
So true.
Challenging myself.
You ever write a song and listen to it and go, man, that sounds like something I already wrote, and then just like rewrite it?
I tinker with stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Always like this snare is off, or this word could be enunciated differently, or I don't like the end of that bar. So I'm always like, I'll have somebody feature on a song, and by the time they hear the finished version, like the beat's totally different. And they're like, I don't even remember that beat. And I'm like, yeah, I changed it. Yeah.
Being like on the, like with mental health and kind of having like the education behind it. And how do you see hip hop like playing into like elevate, like if someone's having mental health issues, like have you seen like either in your personal experience or just even in the study of mental health, how like hip hop and specifically music in general plays into helping folks through that?
Well, I would say hip hop itself was really arose as a way for people in the South Bronx who had unmet needs to meet these needs they were challenged with. So that's really the genesis of all the elements of hip hop. And locally, you can look at someone like Logic, who had his hit song, which was the Suicide Helpline.
That's
number.
right. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that came out, and that was I read some article where it said it saved like a certain amount of lives were saved just by that one song coming out.
Because other people can feel
yeah. So, and I mean, I've seen this documentary on Logic, and his fans are literally like crying when they're talking to him. So I think music is very powerful in the way that it can reach people, the way it connects with people, the way people listen to it in different environments. It gets very intimate. And you might find a song you like, you listen to it over and over and over, it kind of rewires your brain. I know myself, I'm always reciting lyrics that I heard from like the 90s, but they're like dug in my brain, and they'll come out like from nowhere, and I'll just start thinking of a rap some other rapper wrote, So I think the mental health aspect, whenever you have people who have unmet needs or something that they're struggling with and they need to find a way to kind of meet those needs, a solution will appear, and the music, a very powerful way to help heal people, I feel.
Yeah, no, definitely.
There's also all this science about how music connects with memory and stuff with all these Alzheimer's patients and things that they can't remember anybody,
but
they can't talk, but you play the music and they know every lyric.
Yeah, that is a guy from,
yes, because it's some other deeper part of our brains, that music is that.
It's more than just I mean, I'd say a lot of mainstream radio stuff is like sex and violence and all that sort of stuff. I think music is very spiritual. So when you listen to my music, it sounds spiritual, like Coltrane or, Sun Ra, very spiritual. It's a spiritual practice making music. And you do it whether or not you got people listening to it or not. You just do it because it's something spiritual that you got to get out of yourself.
That's real.
It comes out of you. Yeah, it's pouring out of you. I definitely, all right, speaking of it, where can everybody get your music?
I'm on the streaming networks. I believe I want to say I have 10 albums on the streaming networks. You go to Spotify, you go to Apple Music. I don't put as much stuff up on Bandcamp. I know a lot of artists use that. I don't really use it as much as other artists, but I'm on all the streaming websites, on iTunes, I'm on YouTube. You can go to my website, which is getthatworm.com. If you go to
That's such a good friggin' URL.
If you go to Get the Worm, it's a bait and tackle shop. So if you want actual physical worms, you go to Get the Worm. If you want music, you go to Get That Worm. So I got a make
Such
that
a good
distinction.
URL.
I don't want people going to the wrong website.
So good.
GetThatWorm.com.
Yes,
so
and-
good.
All
and
one word.
It has my social media links. You can follow me. I usually follow people back. It's got my blog. It's got videos. I give speeches on mental health. So it's got all that contact stuff too.
Fantastic. All right. Are you ready to play Florida or not?
I don't know. Am I?
I don't know. Are
I'm
you?
not gonna scroll down because I
You're
don't know
gonna
what
have
the
to. You're
story
gonna have
is.
to tell me how to play
Florida or not.
I never played it.
Hold on, Brian. Hit the sound for him again.
Florida or not.
There you go. Yes. All right. So the way that this works is we're going to read you a news story with the
you if it
locational
happened in
details
Florida or not.
removed, and you
Okay.
tell us if this happened in
Oh,
Florida.
and you know what's
Or
crazy?
not in Florida.
Someone who's featured on the song is the Florida.
Right. So the Florida or not sound that you just heard is substantial.
Oh, okay.
Or no, not that
Actually, that was Damien.
one. That was
That was Damien?
That
Oh.
was Damien after.
Alright.
Yes.
Oh yes, you're correct. Yeah, we didn't have the Florida.
Shout out
or
to Substantial.
Florida or not.
Well, we had the original one. I don't know where it moved to, but
Florida or not?
there you
There.
go.
That's Substantial.
There
There he is. The genesis of that is, of course, that we said, "Are you ready to play Florida or not?" And him being a teacher said, "Florida or not?" And we,
Yeah, he corrected it and it was like,
like, yes.
he became famous.
right.
I like nah. I like to speak like the people speak.
Yeah, we thought so.
We
too.
thought that too with him. And he came real like
Not getting all academic
pro
and correcting
academic with it. He's like,
people's
Florida
languages.
or not?
And then when we played that back to him a few
Yo.
weeks ago,
Yeah.
we were like, "I don't know if you know this, but you're very famous for this thing that you said, back in like 2018 or something." And he goes, "What did I say?" And then we hit the button and he says,
Florida or not?
"There you go." So, all right, here you go. Are you ready to play?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, do you sound ready?
I'm
That's
ready.
That's the line.
Yeah,
right?
do you sound
Do
ready?
you sound ready? All right, try as he might, Reza Bellucci can't reach his destination without running afoul of the U.S. Coast Guard. The key problem is his vessel, a giant floating hamster wheel made of buoys and wire, self-propelled by Bellucci running inside. Bellucci, who lives in this place after being granted asylum from Iran, was taken in by the Coast Guard last week aboard this vessel, following several days of back and forth with the authorities. According to a criminal complaint filed in the particular district, the Coast Guard cutter Valiant came across Bellucci as his homemade vessel was, off the coast. He told officers that his destination was London, England, more than 4,000 miles away. So we'll give you that it's the East Coast.
Okay.
Bellucci was asked for the vehicle's registration. He said it was registered in some state, but he couldn't find the registration, according to the complaint. Coast Guard assessed the vessel, known as a hydropod, and determined that it was, quote, conducting a manifestly unsafe voyage, according to the Coast Guard, which doesn't say where he started from, which is convenient for this story. The officers then approached Bellucci in a small boat, instructed him to join them. They were ending his voyage due to it being unsafe. He replied that he had a 12-inch knife and would attempt to kill himself if the officers attempted to remove him from the vessel. They returned to the boat and, hung around, as they do. When the officers tried again over the next day or so to get Bellucci to join them on the small boat, Bellucci displayed 2 knives and threatened to hurt himself if officers boarded the vessel. He also threatened to blow himself up along with the vessel. The officers saw him holding wires in his hands and believed him. The following day, a second Coast Guard cutter named Campbell arrived and sent a small boat to Bellucci to deliver food and water and word that a storm was expected. Good intel. Bellucci refused again to leave his vessel and told the officers that the bomb was not real. On August 29th, Campbell once again sent a small boat. This time they were able to safely remove Bellucci from his floating hamster wheel. He was brought ashore and charged. He was then released on $250,000 bond.
Wow.
Interestingly, the same bond that the former president was released on. Okay.
And he was taken in
How
without
far
any
did he
incidents.
get?
Yeah, he was taken in without any incident. Off the coast.
It's
not clear where.
4,000 miles. He wasn't like
He didn't get
2,000 miles out there.
He was not at the Canary Islands, no. All right, so did this happen in Florida or not in Florida?
I'm gonna say it did not happen in Florida.
Okay, show your work.
Show my work. I think I actually read this article. I'm just Florida to London. That seems like longer than 4,000 miles. I don't know.
It does sound like that. What do you think?
while he does have a raft that most Cubans would be envious of,
Yeah.
I do. I would probably lean on. This is not Florida either.
Incorrect. This was
is?
definitely Florida.
Wow.
Yes. He lives in Florida, and he was arraigned in Miami in the Southern District of Florida. This guy's got a record a mile long of doing weird shit like this. He's run across the country twice.
Forrest Gump.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
He also has tried to run to England several times on similar things, including once in
Over the water?
Yes. In an inflatable, one of those little pods that you're supposed to run and bump into people in, or something like that. Yeah, I'm sure he's fine.
All right, well, I'm 0 for 1.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it.
That's
There's
the
no
only
more.
one. Okay.
That's it.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's okay. You're still invited back.
All right,
you can play again next time.
That.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break and play another one of your songs. When we come back, we're going to talk about all kinds of interesting stuff, including Out of Compliance Kevin. We'll do a Tez talk, and we'll do a little sports makeup things, and Brian's got to talk about his favorite congresswoman and some cheesesteaks. It's going to be wild.
We're on time.
Yes. All right, you're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
Hey. You don't wanna go shot for shot, I'm unstable. I drink my own self under the table with a toast to good health, wine to a vital. Number to my head, I'm borderline suicidal. I don't get out of bed, reach for the nightstand where I got 4 warm Keystone like cans, which will give me the gumption to get up. I mean, at least sit up, hit up the store, feed the beast with a bottle off the bottom. When I'm in, I feel as if it's not at all a problem. Never mind whatever remains in the jars and the piggy banks, dumping out change. Look, daddy gotta get some drinks. I'm a drunk tank regular, last call predator, thinking it's better to stand tall rather than hit knees. I see the weak flock in the detox that works for them, but I need not.
I don't really care what a hater think. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink. Girls wearing mink, looking pretty in pink. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink. People try to act like their don't stink. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink. Try to take me out, but the ship don't sink. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink.
Don't say, I say, every day a holiday on payday. Play hard, take a vacay. Way back in the 80s, I was underage, my heyday. Laid back when I was a baby, playing with paper planes, radio, B-boy, K-Day. If you lived in L.A., day to day, nowadays, heartbreaking 808s is old school. Goku, slay eggs, flow cool, remove clothes, ladies' legs, shaved and made smooth, crush, groove, play by play, used to play, kid and play, tape cassette, stolen from the stove. No, I didn't pay, get away clean, now I'm middle-aged and I miss the days of the fat shoelace on the scene, spray can magazine, come through, hit the J, let a player play, same hit, just a different day.
I don't really care what a hater think. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink. Girls wearing mink, looking pretty in pink. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink. People try to act like their don't stink. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink. Try to take me out, but the ship don't sink. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink.
In the studio, late night like Arsenio, come to death row, no Puffy in the video. Listen to the radio, same old flow, same lame so-and-so, no go. This ain't your boy's first rodeo, low blow, pull up on my Oreo slow. The game's so dull, Skull and Bones Club stole Geronimo's skull, cause they have no souls. Eat a bowl of Cheerios, on the low, listen to the stereo, sip old gold, rap game Columbo flows. Go the way of the dodo, pose for a photo, yo. Listening to go-go, eating ho-hos, you-hoo, Coco, doing interview promo, room for the Orioles, for loco. Port is a memorial to Han Solo.
I don't really care what a hater think. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink. Girls wearing mink, looking pretty in pink. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink. People try to act like their don't stink. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink. Try to take me out, but the ship don't sink. Pour another drink, here the glasses clink.
Okay, it's true. I stayed up late last night, so I had half the Turbo Force this morning. The vitamins, the minerals, the amino acids. The vitamins, the minerals, the the vitamins, the minerals, the amino acids. The vitamins, the minerals. That's Turbo Force. 5 different types of caffeine. and get the fish oil.
Welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Ted.
That's me, yeah.
Hanging out with us is Early Bird.
Yeah.
That was not you, that last song, but the one before that was.
No, the last song was me.
Yeah, but then the Alex Jones, that wasn't you.
Alex Jones was
Yeah.
Don't take credit for him.
Turbo Force.
Yeah, that was not me.
No.
Thunder Frog's going.
Like corn on the cob. All right.
It's been too long.
But the song right before that, tell us about that song.
That song's called Clink. It features my friend K Beta. Shout out to K Beta.
I was going to say, yes.
Yeah.
Good people.
And Sketch was also in the video. He wasn't rapping, but he was in the video. He's another rapper, Sketch McGinney. Shout out to them. That's from my Earth Day album, which was originally recorded in 2007, and I re-released it with new production about a month ago. So that's on streaming too. So that song's called Clink.
All right, so go out and get it. Go to getthatworm.com.
There you go.
You can find all of the stuff.
So good.
All right. You're not here for this, but you get to chime in on it because you are a bit of an expert on this.
Okay.
Kevin's.
Okay, Kevin. Yeah, that's my name.
Kevin's, there's certain kinds of Kevins.
I've heard it's the male version of Karen. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it could be. In this case, we're talking about Dumb Kevin, current Speaker of the House, Dumb Kevin. He's got a new name. Do you know his new name, Tez?
He's out of compliance.
Out of compliance, Kevin. The OCK. Out of compliance, Kevin. As you may remember, to get his speakership, he had to promise all of the crazy people that they could remove him with a single vote at any moment.
Yeah.
And so
Deal with the devil.
It took like 10 votes
15, actually.
15, yeah.
But yes. So we are getting close to the time when the government is about to shut down. I think we're roughly 15 days away from that, actually. So, in order to pass a continuing resolution or just to sort of keep things up and running, Dumb Kevin's got to get the rest of the Republicans to go along with him. He doesn't actually have to do that. What he could do is pass a CR with majority of the Republican caucus and all of the Democrats. But if he does, he'll be out of compliance.
Working his town again.
Yes. So this phrase out of compliance comes to us from one of our favorite congressmen from the great state of Florida.
Yes.
Mr. Forehead himself, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz told Kevin from the House floor that he was, quote, out of compliance with the agreement that allowed him to assume the leadership role and threatened to have McCarthy ousted as Speaker. Quote, the path forward for the House of Representatives is to either bring you forward to immediate and total compliance or remove you. If we have to start the day with the prayer, the pledge, and the motion to vacate, so be it.
Oh, wow.
Said a guy who pays 17-year-olds for sex.
Right.
Allegedly.
Right. Allegedly.
Yeah?
I mean, the only thing Kevin McCarthy has always wanted is to be Speaker of the House.
That's correct.
He decided to become Speaker of the House in the worst possible way.
Yes.
Which is
dependent on Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, and that anybody can bring a motion to remove you from the job you always want. It's like you wanted the job so bad that
you're just
whatever.
Critically think about anything you agreed to.
Yeah,
which sounds pretty on par for the Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, but they're not here to govern, so it doesn't matter.
So
but it's weird because there is a subset of them that is kind of like, I didn't come here to. Some of us came here to govern. I forgot the guy who had the quote there.
Yeah, there's actually a significant number of the caucus that likes him.
Yes.
But the problem is his majority is so razor thin that he has to abide by the crazies.
And the crazies need to get reelected.
Yeah.
So it's like this cycle.
So they need to threaten all of the, the end of the world.
Term limits.
But there's this, right? Please.
Christ, 18 years.
Please. You listen to the same story I did.
I'm with it. 18
Public
years.
radio.
18 years. I was like, I like
but there was an interesting sort of phase of events that happened regarding this. So yesterday, Wednesday, there was when Matt Gaetz called him out of compliance and threatened.
I know what'll fix this.
And so, but then Thursday morning, this morning, Joe Scarborough, former Republican Congressman Joe Scarborough, hosts Morning Joe on MSNBC, like, picks up on this story and he's like, I'll be goddamned if anybody was going to tell me what the fuck I'm about to do. He didn't say it exactly like that, but he was damn close to it. But Mika was like, no, tone it down. And he is like, I wouldn't let, and he thought about it. He's like, my daughter wouldn't let somebody tell her that she was out of compliance. She would go and say, I dare you to fucking do it. Fast forward a couple hours, Kevin McCarthy is in his caucus meeting with all of the Republicans in the House, and what does he tell them?
I dare you.
Literally, I dare you to fucking do it.
Yeah.
He says, I dare you to fucking vote me out.
Catch me outside. How about that?
That's exactly right. He says, fucking vote me out. Fucking do it. If you've got the fucking balls, fucking do it. And he said that pointing right at Boebert and Green and all, the ones with all the balls. Yeah. And goes, if you've got the fucking balls, fucking vote me out. So like seconds later, the papers know about this because all of the members they're all like, he told us to fucking do it. And
screamed at us.
Yeah. So he comes out of the caucus meeting and the reporters are like, yo, Kevin, did you tell them to fucking do it or what? And he goes, I'm Irish. What do you expect? Yeah, I told him to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And they're not going to fucking do it because they want to keep this shit moving or whatever. Stay tuned. We'll be here next week. Kevin McCarthy might not be.
I'm pretty sure. I mean,
he'll still be in Congress.
Yes, but once
he might not be speaker.
They're gonna pass a spending bill and
gonna get a CR.
Yeah, and that's gonna piss everybody off.
So the reason we bring that up is that in an attempt to keep the forehead on his team for the CR and for everything else, Kevin McCarthy decided to allow this weird inquiry into impeaching President Biden, which does not make sense because they haven't found anything to impeach him about.
Because of his son or something?
No, there is this idea that he's up to something. And the Republicans are very sure that he is, but they haven't found anything yet. And so every time they get asked about this, they're like, so what exactly is your evidence? Which crime has he committed? What is it that you're going to, they go, wouldn't you like to know? And then the reporter goes, we would. Yeah, that's what we're reporters. We're asking you that. Like, what are you on about, James Comer? And he goes, there's a lot of smoke. Where there's smoke, there's got to be fire.
I mean, but some of this is regarding Hunter Biden, and I guess there's no evidence that, because usually you impeach the president for wrongdoings that the president committed.
Well, but they're not interested in Hunter Biden's gun charge that dropped today, or his cocaine use. They're interested in this idea that he was using his father's influence and.
Unlike Jared Kushner.
There we go. And there we have it.
Thanks.
There we have it.
Thanks, Bert. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah. So, in Fox Newsistan, there is this idea that Joe Biden is taking bribes from Ukrainians of some kind, but unspecified, and that it involves Hunter and something called Burisma, which they don't know what it is.
Right.
And there may or may not be a laptop and or a sex tape in Maria Bartiromo. And so, every time, and James Comer, who is the chair of the House Oversight Committee, has been trying like hell to find something on this. They've subpoenaed, a random emu in Australia to tell him that, there's no information here.
And Doug.
Right. And they can't. Where's the bell? You don't watch a lot of TV, you probably didn't get that joke, but that commercials everywhere. They've yet to turn up even a shred of anything. And they can't, they keep saying they've got it, but even Fox News is like, well, what have you got? And they go, we'll tell you. And they go, well, could you tell us now? It's been 16 months. And they go, don't worry, it's coming. So we're in year 3 of this attempted investigation. It has yet to turn up anything.
Like Hillary's emails.
It's exactly like that. Yeah.
This is just Banana Republic.
It is. And
It's
so
Banana Republic.
in order to appease those people, Dumb Kevin gave them an opportunity, and he said, fine, I'll do the impeachment inquiry, which they said opens up all this opportunity for them to ask a lot more questions. It gives them extraordinary powers. It does not. They cannot issue any additional subpoenas. They could already issue subpoenas. Like, nothing has changed here. And Matt Gaetz is like,
if they oust him,
who's gonna figure it out?
If they oust him, who do they replace him with?
Jeffries.
Yeah.
Who won all of the other votes. 14 votes in a row. Future Speaker Hakeem Jeffries won. And then on the 15th vote, Dumb Kevin finally got more votes.
Jeez.
Devin Nunes is Cal.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a TES talk?
Yes. It's we talk about in these TES talks over and over again climate change.
We do.
We are here.
We are.
We're here. Have you heard
There
of
are
it?
many-
There it is. And you already knew where I was going
Yes.
exactly with this. There are Medicanes. Or Mediterranean hurricanes.
Yes.
They've
The Mediterranean is now spawning hurricanes.
3 degrees warmer than average, both in the Atlantic and the Mediterranean.
It's too small a body of water. How can it possibly create a hurricane? Physics,
right? If you haven't seen the flash floods, which I mean,
I was trying like hell to avoid this.
Yeah,
you talking about Libya?
Yeah, in Libya, and
What's
like
that?
I know, because I feel like we need to watch this stuff. If you watch the water rushing through, like when people talk about biblical times,
That's a biblical flood.
It washed.
Go look at the before and after. The one
The
day
satellite
before
pictures are
and the
insane.
This is. This came on BBC before I came up here and on TV, and I started crying.
It's insane.
And my daughter was like, "Daddy, what's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I am terribly sad." And she's like, "Why?" I was like, "There's that we know of 11,000 people
It's
dead,
easy 30,000,
but it could be 100,000 people who are unaccounted for."
People are talking about
swept
losing
out to
100
sea.
people in their family.
150 people
of a family.
in one
I didn't
family.
have 100 people in my
Yeah,
family.
it's
This is a place that does not exist anymore.
Wow.
It is wiped off the map.
the waves. The ocean is bringing people back in.
Yes.
It's
They've got a sanitation catastrophe on their hands because there's so many dead bodies. They don't know what to do with them, and they're not going to be able to safely restore the water supply. And this is a one-time event.
That could happen again next year.
And several thousand miles down the coast, well, not down the coast, but
Right.
as the crow flies to southern Morocco, there was an earthquake.
Yes.
So devastating that it's killed more people than we can possibly count. And we're never even going to get to them in the Atlas Mountains. It is,
Greece as well has had these. I mean,
they said the flood in Duran,
no, what's the name? Yeah, I forgot the name of the city of
Derna,
yes.
Libya. They said the flood was so severe it caused an earthquake. That so much water came rushing through there that it shook the ground and collapsed all the buildings.
And I mean, this is like a climate change story. This is also like a failure of government story. And
Absolutely.
I think
Libya hasn't had government for so long.
The people of Libya, I mean, are going to there's going to be hell to pay for the rival factions between
the reason that Libya hasn't had government is because that other governments have sought to destabilize the whole situation.
Yeah.
I mean, that we are dealing with the consequences of human-caused climate change, human-caused lack of governance and lack of humanity, and also just regular natural disasters that could be mitigated
even
if
like
the world
a system,
fucking cared.
even like they don't have a system to warn people. Like they were saying, they could have saved maybe 10,000 people just by.
They just knew to get to higher.
Hey, yo, like the forecast we take for granted.
That's right.
Like I don't know.
Chuck Bell tells me the weather every morning.
Yeah, which Capucci said that this is
Matthew Capucci said this week is going to be
it's
gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. We don't have anything to worry
for
about
a whole week.
For 1 week. Yeah,
I don't have to pay any attention.
Yet, like I tell everybody, yo, you're on a collision course. Everybody's on a collision course to being in a climate refugee camp. I don't know when.
the 6th major extinction event. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's a record about it. You should get it. It's right here.
It's here.
We are in it.
It's here. So
this thing, I mean, I'm telling people to go look at the pictures.
The videos, like I finally saw a video of it.
I don't want to look.
The video, like I was
don't
deeply troubled by how much water was moving and how fast it was moving.
It's not just how fast it's moving, but what it's carrying.
Mud, debris, cars, people,
whole buildings.
Yeah,
chemicals, feces.
Chemicals, yeah. Another piece that's
I was talking to somebody who lives on the Florida coast in the Big Bend and talking about
the surge,
what happened, the storm surge, and what they dealt with. And they were talking about 15 feet of water. And he said that the houses are all rated to withstand, 150-mile-an-hour winds.
Because everybody's worried about the wind.
Which is fine.
They're always worried about the wind.
It's wind. But the problem is, what if you have water moving that fast?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And water is very, very, very heavy. 8 pounds a gallon heavy.
Yeah.
It is no joke. If you've got feet of
It
water
is the element that's going to
moving through, it will knock over. And this guy told me that there weren't like, houses collapsed or walls leaning. There was nothing left. It was flat sand where there had been a city. Towns of hundreds, thousands of people was sand. And that's here in Florida.
Category 1 is hitting Massachusetts. 100 mile per hour. Again, because the water is a hot tub. If you know anything about a hurricane, what does it need? Hot water.
And we've got gobs of it.
Abundance of hot water. So
all we got to do is chuck some ice in the water. It's going to be fine.
Yeah,
I know where there is some. It's in Greenland.
It's gonna be fine. And we can buy them.
We can buy that. Trade one Puerto Rico for Greenland.
And
it's going to be great. All right.
I'm scared.
With a happy story.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
you don't know this show.
Here comes a happy story. Dateline, East Lansing, Michigan. Michigan State suspended football coach Mel Tucker without pay on Sunday, less than 24 hours after allegations became public in a USA Today report that he sexually harassed activist and rape survivor Brenda Tracy during a phone call last year.
Read it one more time. Who he allegedly
he sexually harassed activist and rape survivor Brenda Tracy. Here's the background on this. After Michigan State was getting out from the Larry Nassar stuff, they're like, oh, what we need to do is strike a blow for, victims of sexual assault. Let's go try to fix the problem that we're a part of. So Mel Tucker, vaunted head coach of the Spartan, let's call them football team, teams up with Miss Tracy, and they do speaking engagements. He invites her to campus 3 times. She talks to the athletic department, talks to the players, talks about the dangers of this and all of that stuff. And it's great. What a great story. Then, turns out, Mel likes to call her after hours and give himself a little rub and tug while he's on the phone with her.
Wow.
This story is insane. It doesn't make it's the person you called in. What?
Yeah, so apparently he he admitted to
yes, he definitely admitted to this.
to rubbing it out on the phone with her, but he said that it was consensual and that she was into
How'd
it.
that work?
I don't know, man.
She's like famous for being a rape survivor?
That like it's her whole
That's her.
She
That's
goes
why
around
they're
the country
connected.
to places who have issues with this, and she talks to them. She came to Michigan State to talk to them, and Mel Tucker thought it would be best.
That's pretty bold.
That's bold as shit, right? Because that tells me right there that's not even a pleasure thing. That's a power thing, right? Right? It can't be pleasure at that point because I assume you're a football coach, and you could go find somebody else to go rub it out on the phone.
I don't know.
Wait. Okay. Hold on.
Brian's here.
So, if let's say right now it's all alleged, they're still investigating, right?
Oh,
he admitted it.
But are they still further investigating the fact of where it may lead it into him being fired? Because
They have suspended him without pay. They have not actually
Can this
fired
be
him
your
yet.
leader of men?
But no, but
Right?
I guess maybe.
Because the thing
Right?
is, the way I see it is, it's like, okay, if it was consensual,
It wasn't.
So it wasn't.
No, she's denied this.
Not only she said it's not consensual, but she's ready to press charges.
How could she make it like? She can't be the one.
She wasn't aware that what he was doing. Then I can understand what's being said.
She was aware.
Okay, she was aware at the time of these calls.
Well, she's aware now.
Even during the calls, like, all right, he obviously at some point said, "You know what I'm doing right now."
Yeah, right.
Like at some point, because if he didn't say that, he would just be on the phone like, yeah, like whatever. But that is obviously not what happened.
Because the thing is, it's okay.
There are hundreds of people a day jacking off while they're on the phone. That's true.
Yes, right. Well, I would leave.
There are hundreds of people a day on regular phone calls, like with Domino's, jacking off or whatever. But
buy, sell.
Yeah. but this guy,
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
She knew about it and she was like, "Yo, this is a problem. Stop doing that." And he was like, "No, let me finish."
That was said. That was
something like that.
But again,
he admitted to it, and he said that it was consensual. He said that they were having phone sex.
Okay.
So
with the lady who comes out to tell everybody
about sexual harassment.
Now this is where the confusing part comes. Either A, from him saying consensual, or B,
every lawyer for any one of these men, the first thing they say to do?
It was
consensual. Yeah. That's what his lawyer told him to do.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay. But again, that's why I figured, is this further being investigated?
What's the consensual aspect
First of all, let's just say it is consensual.
Mm-hmm.
What's the consent involved here?
But even so, let's just say it is consensual. If you are the football coach of this, like, for Michigan State, which we know has had other issues that's been going on there, and this is also, again, not with whoever you met at the local bar.
It's not like you're Urban Meyer playing grab ass at the bar that you own while you're supposedly on, ESPN
or on the
game day.
Or on the exactly. So I mean, but again, you picked the person who comes to the school to talk about these things and to shine light on them. Your poor judgment.
It's not poor judgment. It's intentional.
Yes.
This is the thing.
But I'm saying if it was consensual.
There's all of this evidence about people who have survived sexual assault being often victims more often of sexual assault. And it's not like that they're a marked target or anything. It's that somebody is targeting them as having, been a victim and therefore could be a victim again. Mel Tucker knew her story.
Yeah, obviously.
Had spent a lot of time talking about her story, and at some point the switch flipped to him that, hey, this is somebody I can do this to. Whatever the circumstances are for him and whatever he's into, that's what he did. And he did this to her, and then he got caught for it. That's only part of the story. The other parts of the story is he's on this giant contract for $95 million that has all of this guaranteed money, some of which is being paid by one of the boosters personally. $27 million of it is being paid by a booster personally. And they're going to try to fire him for cause, because obviously there's cause here. And they've got to fire him. But even if he walks away with the $27 million guaranteed, what are we talking about here? That this is you get this contract and then you can do anything you want.
Well, okay. In addition to this story, I just recently found out about Kevin Porter Jr. and him beating up on his girlfriend. My thing I have an issue with is what Houston, because currently he's with the Houston Rockets, and what they're planning to do, their main thing is, we're just going to trade him away. And it's like, okay, does that fix the problem for him? Meaning the fact of, he assaulted his girlfriend. Right now, we don't know what his, legal aspects will be from this. And we don't know. And then in addition to, if he does come back to the league, besides suspending him, what's next? Because we already went through a crazy ordeal with, the Memphis Star and his bullshit. In this case scenario, I'm in the middle of right now. To me, it's kind of a little confusing because of the fact that it's a phone conversation. One, I'm kind of curious of how unless the phones are tapped at Michigan State, how did it get this conversation unless someone spurted it out?
Or she recorded it.
But the thing is okay, how did this come about? To me, I feels like, okay.
I don't know why this lady would go out and talk about this if this didn't happen.
But the thing is, based off this one picture, it's like they probably knew each other. Again, she is an attractive woman, given that. But it doesn't give the right to try to do what he was trying to do. But at the same time, it's like, mind you, like you said, Tez, a lot of guys will say it's like in this type of scenario, it was consensual. So right now, it's like that's where we're left with. I'd rather hear more information about it, because to me,
she's suing,
but she's suing. But the thing is, it's like to me, there's a lot of holes in here. I just feel like there is.
But why are we even entertaining the question of the holes?
Because the simple fact is, like, one, it just came out of nowhere.
It didn't come out of nowhere. She's. You think like somebody in Ann Arbor called her up and said like, hey, I know a way to beat Mel Tucker. Go ahead and make up some story where you, the rape survivor, have to talk about getting assaulted again.
Again, I'm not denying any of this what she's saying or not saying. But I feel is like, again, I'm trying not to be,
I understand. You don't want to jump. Look. This show is clear. We are not looking for an opportunity to show a black man in power getting taken down by a corrupt system. That is not what we're into.
Not that either. Yeah.
We don't want to see that
but
at all.
I also don't want to see the fact is like, look, of her statement being disallowed. Because again, right now, of all the things we the plethora of stuff that we've been dealing with for the last decade, is all implemented into this one incident right now.
No, because there's multiple incidents, and here is part of the story. Like, that is awful, right? Here's other parts of the story. Right away, the secondary head coach, Harlan Barnett, he said he's going to serve as the interim head coach. The AD called D'Antonio immediately and said, hey, what are you doing? And Mark D'Antonio was like, whatever you need, buddy, I got you. So this is to get D'Antonio back, I guess. I don't know. Tucker, the story points out, is the second Big Ten coach to find himself in the center of a scandal in 3 months. That is not true. He's the third because Harbaugh bought a cheeseburger. And so, like, when we're talking about this, we've got Mel Tucker suspended for a little while. We've got Pat Fitzgerald fired for the hazing at Northwestern. But also, the NCAA came down on Michigan for buying a fucking cheeseburger for a kid during the NIL world. So, I just want to... I'm not minimizing the awfulness of the sexual harassment and all that stuff, but it does seem pretty unfucking balanced here.
But my thing as well, too, Brian, is that we're not when she brings her criminal, if she brings criminal charges, so be it. Michigan State is choosing to say, hey, we don't want to employ you no more. Now, that could be around the money. But in the USA Today article, it says, in his statements to the Title IX investigator, Tucker acknowledged masturbating on the call, but said Tracy grossly mischaracterized the episode. According to him, they had consensual phone sex. Quote him, Miss Tracy's distortion of our mutually consensual and intimate relationship into allegations of sexual exploitation has really affected me. Tucker wrote... Woo! I need any more? All right, let me say it. All right. I'm glad. Do I have to read anymore?
Who's the real victim here?
This is like, I'm not... And here's where I would say Michigan State has the right to fire him, because we're just talking about, just your judgment.
The right to fire him?
Right, yeah. Again,
obligation to fire him?
Try to help a brother out. And
look,
doesn't fuck it up.
I am not proud of my judgment, and I'm having difficulty forgiving myself for getting into this situation. But I did not engage in any misconduct by any definition. I don't know, man. I just think like if you beating your dick on the phone with the other person on the other end, like, I feel like you kind of gotta like talk that out,
or
like figure that out.
Or be
like,
very careful to keep it very quiet.
Cause yes, that's a good. Cause this seems like. He was just like he was doing way too much.
Yes,
like you could have like again if he was just on his like off to the side doing it.
Like I'm telling you, I'm sure that there are hundreds of people listening to us right now beating their dicks.
Yes, that's
and we're not gonna know about it because they're not gonna call in the show.
301-761-1040
to tell us that they're doing that.
That's the part like that he thought
Brian,
it was
hit the
that
ad
cool.
30 minutes before we get in trouble. All right.
I don't know. It just seems that the fact that this is a sexual assault survivor who comes out to speak, like, why would you even
try? It's the power thing. It's what you're talking about.
Why would you even try to have some type of relationship with this
Not with
woman?
a 20-foot pole.
No way in hell.
It's the challenge.
Yeah, yes. Yes, I'm with
Thank you, Bird. Thank you.
Exactly.
Not with the 20-foot pole.
No way in hell.
I mean,
that
come
just
on.
seems like a rest. Like, because let's just say to Brian's point, things could get misconstrued. I don't think that's here, but like
the second you sign a $95 million contract,
I'm not dealing.
I'm not talking to fucking nobody. I go to work, I go home, nothing, and I play video games. Like I do nothing else because somebody is coming after that money.
Somebody,
yeah. So just fucking do nothing, and then
get on the phone with
admitting to it.
He admitted to it. Now, if he said I didn't do it,
then be up to her to prove it.
Yeah. This man just like, yo, this isn't how the law works. This isn't how the law.
I want to find his socks.
Oh, God.
Is that how American Pie works?
They said it was going on for like 8 months. They had a working relationship. So.
All right, so just like to be perfectly clear, this happened in the same week that the Lions won a game that they were not expected to win against the Kansas City Chiefs. And J. Scott Smith had a birthday, and we congratulated him on his birthday. So it was happy birthday to J. Scott Smith. It was a victory for the Lions, and it was also an excellent week for Sparty. Just to it's one of those karma things. We can't let somebody like him be too happy, apparently. The world is not going to allow that to happen.
How this happens in most of these cases, maybe.
And I can't be too self-congratulatory about this. Because we did buy a cheeseburger.
Oh, God. Anyway. Again, how these cases usually end, and I think it'll probably end here the same way, is, Mel will probably beat the charge.
Will he? Like he did his dick?
Exactly.
Right. All right, moving on. High security sandwiches. Brian, I think, added this story. I'm assuming, I don't know, it comes from Philadelphia, not a city I would ever engage with. But, they have these sandwiches there that they care a lot about.
They're delicious.
You know about them?
I love them.
The cheesesteaks?
Yeah.
They're pretty good. They're like a steak and cheese, but not quite as good. Yeah. Anyway, what happened in the city of brotherly love around these steak sandwiches? Brian?
So apparently, roughly a year ago, the known establishment called Jimmy Steaks, one of their spots got burned down. So apparently it reopened, and they felt like okay, we need some extra security because so they end up getting a guy, security guard, with his own personal AR-15 to protect the premises.
There you go.
Yeah.
He has an agent vest.
Yes.
In West Philadelphia.
Yes, of all places.
Interesting.
I want you to see, Jim's West owner. Do you see his name?
Oh, God.
Go ahead.
Cortez Johnson.
Cortez Johnson.
God damn it. Shit.
Cousin of yours?
No.
No? Cortez Johnson.
Oh, God. This agent vest is bothering me.
Right?
I feel like that's like when people get those damn vest for their animal. It's like service animal. Like you can get the agent vest anywhere.
It screams Enrique Terrio.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see how long it turns out that he was at January 6th.
Yeah, you know.
Apparently there were several non-white people there.
Yeah, they stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
I seen them immediately.
Like a black and blue mark?
Yes.
Yeah. That's funny. Brian, you're not done yet.
I'm not.
Nope.
No.
Your favorite GILF is back in the news.
Ugh.
GILF is, of course, an acronym for. Go ahead, Bird.
Great intestinal liver failure.
There you go. That's exactly what she would give you.
Lauren
Bobert, noted GILF. Just to be clear, that's grandma. Yeah, don't worry. She's only 40. Yeah, what, 39? What is she? Is she 40, Brian?
She's around, I think the last I checked, she was like 37. 38.
Okay, 37. Sorry.
Tom just thinking about, I forgot that coach was like, I'm 40.
Yeah.
I'm a man. I can handle it. It's a great sound.
Congresswoman Lauren Boebert was escorted out of a Sunday night performance of the Beetlejuice musical in downtown Denver, accused by venue officials of vaping, singing, recording, and, quote, causing a disturbance during the performance.
That's why I would get kicked out of Beetlejuice.
The Beetlejuice musical. Okay.
Yeah, so she went to go see the Beetlejuice musical.
Some high art.
Yeah. It was the touring company, so, you know.
It is in Denver.
Come on.
Why are you there? Exactly.
So she was at the show. Now, there is security footage of this, which I watched. There's not sound on it, though, which is unfortunate.
I want to hear Beetlejuice sing.
But basically what you see is she and her partner, not her husband, because, you know, they're divorced after she helped him show his junk to teenagers, which is true. They're sitting in the aisle seat, and eventually some guys in those suits that look like they're security, because they are, go like, hey, you got to go. And they go to take him out. What they had been doing was, like, taking a lot of photos, videos, and vaping and being, you know, causing a ruckus.
So basically being a teenager.
Yeah, not singing necessarily along, but just being loud. You know, it's one. You're not at Rocky Horror, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not supposed to do all that. So they were asked to leave. And what do you think she did when she was told to leave?
Act entitled.
Indeed. Yes. Also, yes. Act entitled. Go on.
Probably curse somebody out.
She did and said. She's a congresswoman, after all.
I'm a congresswoman.
Yes, don't you know who I am? That's exactly right. The security footage shows her very definitely yelling that, don't you know who I am? And then pulling up her dress as she's walking out of the venue. So, yeah, you got the titty flash there. Oh, Brian, you should go watch the video. We know you're a fan. You can put her in your flying car. And then...
fly her ass out of there somewhere.
Yeah, she's running for her third term
Wow.
from her district. She almost lost in the last
Yeah, she did almost lose.
Maybe it's all a publicity stunt.
Yeah, it could be. Drew Sexton, campaign manager for Boebert, told the Denver Post that the second-term congresswoman denied vaping during the show. She did use her cell phone to take a picture of the performance.
No, it takes a picture now.
Unaware that videos and photos weren't allowed. Quote, I can confirm the stunning and salacious rumors. In her personal time, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert is indeed a supporter of the performing arts, parentheses, gasp.
That is such a PR.
And to the dismay of a select few, enthusiastically enjoyed a weekend performance of Beetlejuice, he wrote in a statement. He noted that the Post review of the show last week described it as zany, outrageous, and a lusty riot. Boebert, he wrote, encourages everyone to see the play and its, quote, fantastic cast, tremendous visuals, and plenty of loud laughs. But, he added, with a gentle reminder to leave their phones outside the venue.
So
what a shit response.
Ends in a PSA.
Yeah, pretty good. All right, you hear that music, which means we've come to the end of the show. Thank goodness for Brian.
Yeah, thank God.
We're close.
Only
All
45
right,
minutes
we
late.
want to say thanks to Early Bird for hanging out with us.
Yes, thank you.
And bringing your amazing music, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks to our radio partners, RIP to Stitcher.
No.
Yeah, Apple Music, whatever the bot tells to say today, all that stuff. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week. We assume, don't know. Thanks to our home on the interwebs, CopleyMedia.com. To our digital media meatball, Isaac Elam, wherever he is. And thanks as always to our family here at Beltway Radio for making it sound as smooth as Yo MTG raps.
Jesus Christ.
Which we'll have to show you that video afterwards. All right, Early Bird, where can everybody find you on the social medias and things?
I'm at Bird Boogie, all one word, on Twitter and Instagram. I don't have the TikTok. And you can find me at www.getthatworm.com.
There you go. All right, Tez.
You can find me at DC Cortez on X, at Ketchum Cordy on Instagram, and being a flaming liberal on Blue Sky at DC Cortez.
There you go. You can find me in the show on the Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat. And you can find us most Thursday nights here on Beltway Radio and beyond at 9:30 at night. I'm Chip. That's Tez. That's Bird. That's Brian. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.